Hey guys, today we're hopping on the viral ranking trend. We got a whole bunch of randomized questions. I'm gonna rank them from S tier, top tier, all the way down to D tier. So this is gonna be all things firefighting, firehouse culture, firehouse nutrition. Let's get into it.
Deadlifts for firefighter strength.
Deadlifts. I'm gonna put deadlifts into B tier. I think there's a lot of benefits behind deadlifts. I think deadlifts mimic a lot of movements that we do on the fire ground. That being said, when we have like a risk reward look, I think there's other movements that have lower risk and a higher upside and also challenge the body in a more realistic way that's actually gonna translate to our ability to do our job. So I think deadlifts is a solid B compound movement for building strength, but I think there is some better alternatives that would fit in for more people based on where their fitness is currently at.
Sled pushes.
Sled pushes, I'm gonna put sled push into the A tier. I think that's a great full body movement, not only to build strength, but also to build cardiovascular capacity. It's something that me and my crew integrate a lot actually into air consumption drills, just because it correlates to a lot of things that we're gonna have to do on the fire ground. Sled pushes and pulls, that's a solid A tier.
Training in gear.
Ooh, training in gear, one of the most highly debated topics. I'm putting training into gear, and this is gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way, into S tier. There is no other way to mimic the heat stress, the restriction, and just all the different elements that training in gear really provides. I think it's something that you don't need to be doing every single shift, but I think as a baseline, you absolutely need to be doing it at least once a month, or at a very bare minimum, quarterly. You don't want to find out that your body hasn't acclimated to those stressors on a call. So I think it's something that we definitely need to be doing relatively frequently at the station. So training in gear, S tier.
Burpees.
Ooh, burpees, the dreaded burpee. I'm gonna put burpee into B tier. The reason for that is it's accessible. You know, you don't need any equipment, which is great for working as a first responder at the station. That being said, I think a lot of people lack the core strength and the mobility to actually do a burpee correctly. And I think it kind of falls into the same realm of deadlift. The risk reward isn't there for a lot of people when it comes to burpees. There's a lot of different cardio modalities that you could select that I think would provide the same stimulus without the risk of injury. B for burpee in the B tier.
Stair climbs.
Stair climb, easy S tier. Something that I do, especially in gear with the crew. It's something that we're also going to integrate into some air consumption drill as well as training. As firefighters, climbing stairs is not only something that you need to be proficient at in order to get hired as a firefighter doing things like your CPAT. We do it every single day, whether it's in our gear, you know, moving patients with the stair chair. It is absolutely essential for firefighters. So absolutely S tier for stair climb.
Energy drinks on shift.
Time and a place, energy drinks on shift. I'm gonna put that into B tier. I think like that can be beneficial. I think one thing that first responders have to be careful of is utilizing caffeine to like power through, but not abusing caffeine. I feel like energy drinks are sometimes people drink too much of because maybe they don't like the taste of coffee. A lot of energy drinks are also full of like absolute garbage. So that definitely would put it below coffee. I think coffee would be more A tier, S tier for me. Energy drink, we're gonna put in that B tier category.
Firehouse chili.
Firehouse chili. I gotta put Firehouse chili into the C tier. I'm sorry, but it's something that I've had a lot of bad chili, and I think it's one of those things that people that don't know how to cook like kind of gravitate towards things like that because they can just like throw a bunch of stuff in a pot, put it on simmer, and just throw it in a bowl and expect that, you know, some cheese, some sour cream, and some tortilla chips are gonna save the day. So I've had a lot of bad Firehouse chili, so that's gonna go in the C tier for me.
Protein shakes.
Protein shakes, S tier. Great, quick, efficient way to get in protein. Me and the crew, every day after we work out, it's something that we have together. We've kind of mastered the Firehouse protein shake. And again, it's just like a quick way of getting in high quality nutrition, allowing you to hit your protein goal. I think it's something that all first responders, firefighters should be using, whether it's like a morning smoothie to make sure you get your protein in at the beginning of the day, or something that you utilize throughout the day so you're not just going for 4 scoops of peanut butter out of the pantry. I think that protein shakes are S tier.
Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting. That is an interesting one because I'm an intermittent faster, and actually a lot of the guys and girls I work with do the same thing. I'm gonna put it into the B tier. Reason for that is I don't think intermittent fasting is for a lot of people. Individuals that don't have breakfast sometimes feel like really lethargic and it doesn't really benefit them. So I'm not gonna say it's like A tier, S tier, because I don't think it is for everyone. Especially there's been times when we get caught out on runs and like we usually plan to eat at around 11. Bunch of calls come in before you know it, it's 1:30 and you haven't had anything to eat, which can be a little bit spicy when you don't know what the shift is going to hold and you want to make sure that you're fueling correctly. So it's something that I do, it's something that works for us and the people that I work with, but I know it's not for everyone. So I'm going to put intermittent fasting in that B tier. Could be really beneficial for some, not so much for others.
Kitchen table debates.
Ooh, I'm gonna put kitchen table debates into the A tier. I think I've learned a lot of things at the kitchen table through debates. I've got a lot of interesting perspectives. I've also heard a lot of very different topics come up. If you get the wrong mix of people at the table, it can get a little bit tense, a little bit heated, which keeps it out of that S tier. But yeah, I've got a lot of really good laughs and some surprising good life advice, financial advice, business advice at the kitchen table through some good debates. So I'm putting kitchen table debates in the A tier.
Middle of the night false alarms.
I mean, like that's gonna get a D tier. At the end of the day, like we don't know. You assume everything is a working fire before you actually go. So you never know if a false alarm is actually gonna be a false alarm. That being said, getting woken out of whatever sleep you are getting for literally a nothing call, burnt toast, a wet detector, humidity, definitely D tier, because we wanna go to calls where we actually get to do stuff. Just running, burning diesel and going to alarm activations that are nothing, D tier.
Rookie chores, toilets, dishes, and gear checks.
I'm gonna put this in S tier because like as a new person, like this is just the price you have to pay. This is earning your stripes. You have to do these things. And one of my favorite quotes is the way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything. So I think as a new recruit, I get this question a lot of like, what can I do to be a good new recruit? Take pride in this thing, go the extra mile. The way that you know that you're doing enough is when a senior firefighter tells you to sit down or stop. So that goes into S tier because that's the standard that you need to set when you start your career. Do those things right. It'll really build a good foundation to build off of. So chores, changing garbages, scrubbing shitters, that's in the S tier.
Firehouse recliners.
I mean, S tier, like we call them rechargers at work. Like, we need to take our downtime between calls. We need to, enjoy ourselves. A lot of just like at the kitchen table, a lot of the best laughs that I've had at work have been in the recliners. So every fire hall literally in the world is going to have a couple of these things, and for good reason. So the recliner is going in the S tier.
Firehouse coffee.
Ooh, I'm gonna go B tier for that because it's essential, but there's a lot of bad coffee. I've also seen firefighters like clean out the pot with like toilet bowl cleaner. I've seen them run CLR through the coffee machine. So there's a good chance that the coffee machine at the station that I work at is probably taken 5 to 10 years off my life, but drinking coffee at work is an absolute necessity. So coffee in general would be S tier for me. Fire hall coffee, because of the quality and some of the questionable things that happen with the process, is gonna go into B tier.
SCBA downing speed.
I'm gonna put, your ability to do that in the S tier. Like that is one of the things of like, that is a bread and butter skill as a firefighter. If you can't do that effectively, then you probably aren't proficient at a lot of other tasks on the fire ground. So I believe the NFPA standard is 0 gear to on-air full turnouts in 90 seconds. If you can't beat that benchmark, or if you can't meet that benchmark, I think there's some work to do. And again, it's just probably a reflection of how much you prioritize training outside of that. So donning your SCBA, that's S tier.
Camaraderie at the station.
That's easily an S tier. I think one of the things that you will hear from every person that retires from the job is it's not necessarily the calls that you miss, it's the people. The brotherhood, sisterhood in the fire service is unmatched. And I think anyone that has lived it can appreciate that. Anyone that hasn't doesn't really understand what we're talking about. But if you ever go to any sort of like firefighter get together, any sort of like funeral, anything that gets a bunch of firefighters congregating in the same place, it's going to become glaringly obvious how tight knit this community is and how strong the camaraderie is. So that is absolutely S tier. And I think that's one of the reasons that I love this job. And I think it's the reason that a lot of people get in this job. So capital S tier for Firehouse camaraderie.
Dark humor as a coping mechanism.
I'm going to put that in the C tier. I think that in the very acute stages after a traumatic or a very difficult call, it can lighten the mood just a little bit, because we've all been there where it's very quiet. We're all just kind of reeling and reflecting on what we just experienced. I think the one thing that we realized as first responders is like during the call, you're an operator. You're not thinking, you're going through the motion, you're really falling back on your training. But after the dust settles, you kind of have that moment of like, holy smokes, like that just happened. So I think to just kind of break that and kind of get out of your own head, it can have a time and a place. That being said, if that is your only coping mechanism, is just to like skip over things or diminish them, I don't think that is good. One thing that I talk about as a firefighter is like, you can put this stuff away in little boxes in your brain, and you don't have to open that box for a day, a week, a month, but eventually you're gonna have to open that box. And if we just completely diminish, overlook, or discredit the things that we have to experience as first responders, I think that can start to pile up. Your file folder can get a little bit full, and when it gets full, then we start to run into some issues. So we have to slowly be able to, unpack that and integrate those things. So yeah, dark humor, C tier, has a time and its place, but there's a lot of other things that you really need to practice as a first responder in order to be able to do this job for the long haul.
Euro helmet.
I'm sorry to all the Europeans out there, that is absolutely D tier. There is no style, color, anything that makes a Euro helmet look cool. I know that there's some benefits that has been studied, but like, I'm sorry, the Euro helmet is absolutely that's an F tier. The Euro helmet does not register on the scale.
Foam rolling.
Foam rolling, I'm gonna give B tier. I think foam rolling has a time and its place. Soft tissue work can be really beneficial. I think a lot of times people try to utilize things like foam rolling just to like mash their way through the root cause of an issue. Like if you have any sort of like strength imbalance, mobility restriction, like muscles are gonna get tight for a reason. So just bashing those with the foam roller doesn't really do the trick. That being said, if like you have some delayed onset muscle soreness, or there's some like knots that you're trying to work through, some tightness that you're trying to work through, foam roller can have a lot of really, really good benefits. So foam roll is gonna go in the B tier for me.
Pre and or post shift workouts.
Ooh, I'm gonna put the pre-shift workout in the S tier. As first responders, we have limited time, especially with shift work and having families and other obligations. One of the windows of time that is so underutilized, that is a game changer for anyone and has been an absolute game changer for me, is that pre-shift. Not only is it time that we can utilize to make sure that we can meet our fitness goals, but it also sets you up for success. It gets your body, it gets your mind right for that shift, and kind of walking in from the moment you put your gear on the rig, prepared, ready, warmed up to take on the day, versus like rolling in groggy, having a couple coffees, it's 9 a.m. before you feel like a human. Not even comparable. Pre-shift workout is absolute S tier.
Bodybuilding splits.
Ooh, I'm gonna put bodybuilding split in the... I'm gonna put it in the B tier. I mean, I like having big muscles and looking jacked in my uniform too. I think bodybuilding movements in particular leave a lot to be desired. That's why I'm a big proponent of like functional fitness. Bodybuilding works muscles in isolation. And what we have to realize is like, as firefighters and first responders, a lot of our tasks are full body movements. So that's why, doing dynamic full body movements, integrating that whole kinetic chain can be a lot more beneficial than bodybuilding. That being said, something is always better than nothing. And I trained like a bodybuilder for many years until my body eventually just said like, nah, this ain't working anymore. I think a lot of people run into that problem. B for bodybuilding, B tier.
Leftover Firehouse pizza at 8 a.m.
Ooh, Firehouse leftovers. That's gonna go C tier, because there has been things that I've been pleasantly surprised with, but like your 3-day-old wilted Caesar salad, no one wants that. And I know you don't wanna clean the pot or the bowl that it's in, but no one is gonna eat it. You know it, I know it. So I've had some things that have been left over that have been a pleasant surprise. You never know how long it's been in there, so it's a little bit questionable, which makes that bump up from the D tier, but that's the only saving grace. So I'm gonna put Firehouse leftovers in the C tier, because there has been some redeeming items, but most of the time it's absolute garbage and clean your dishes.
Meal prepping for a 24.
S tier, 100%. I know that sitting down and sharing a meal and the Firehouse camaraderie is an amazing aspect of the job, but unfortunately there's a lot of departments, there's a lot of crews that just don't prioritize these things. And if you're gonna allow every time you go into work to derail your progress because you're not able to get the right nutrition in, then you need to change that. Everything just boils down to what you're willing to prioritize. You can still sit down with the crew and eat your meal prep. They're going to make fun of you, just sit with that. But like if someone's making fun of you for trying to move the needle forward in your life, then that's a conversation for another time. That's what I tell my clients is like, if you really want to lock in and move the needle forward and crush it when it comes to your fitness, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Prep your meals, bring it into work, S tier.
Firehouse nicknames?
S tier, 100%, no questions asked. And I'm one of the unfortunate few that like doesn't have a cool nickname. People call me Mitch, Mitchy, Gorley. I don't really have like a cool nickname. That being said, I work with some people that have some pretty amazing nicknames, like Big Show. Like if your nickname's Big Show, like, you know, people automatically think you're the man. Some people, because they've made an issue or maybe shared information that they probably shouldn't have shared at work, have some pretty comical names as well that always provide some comedic relief. So Firehouse nicknames, absolute S tier.
Firehouse pranks?
S tier, 100%. We need to do things throughout the shift to break it up, to have a laugh. It's unfortunate now because of the climate that we live in is that you don't get away with the same amount of stuff. I think the fire service has progressed in the right direction in a lot of ways, but I think like the lighthearted, fun nature has kind of been taken away and stripped back a little. I hear a lot of the pranks that used to happen, which I kind of feel that I wish still happened to this day just because of the amazing stories that you hear. But I think we need to break it up. We need to have a laugh. We need to be able to kind of pick on one another a little bit in the right ways to kind of build that relationship, that trust in one another. So I'm gonna put Firehouse pranks in the S tier.
Being fit as a firefighter?
That's gonna be absolute S tier. The community has put so much trust in you to show up on their worst day and be prepared. I think fitness is absolutely non-negotiable for firefighters. It's something that I prioritize, not only to be able to perform at your job more effectively, but what we have to realize is intentionally doing hard things like a workout, seeking discomfort, is gonna allow you to build capacity, resilience, and tolerance to handle the inevitable hardships that you're going to have to face as a first responder. So physical fitness as a first responder, as a firefighter, absolute S tier. And if you're looking to improve your physical fitness and join a proven system that we've used to help hundreds of first responders, check my application below. That is the ranking system for today. Until next time, take it easy, you guys.